Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Fantastic Four Doctor Doom video. Apparently, Marvel was ready to cast Robert Downey Jr. as a version of Doctor Doom, so we'll break it all down because it's a really cool reveal from Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos because there are a lot of deleted scenes and Easter eggs featuring the Doctor Doom character in the newer Marvel movies that I'll point out too.
Should we talk about that? Because I think that's probably one of the greatest decisions in the history of Hollywood.
Robert had come in for a general on it. And I remember you had all met with him already for like Doctor Doom or something on another project. I think I think he had come through on a maybe
Right.
Fantastic Four.
Right. Everybody has good days and bad days. And I remember on later movies, we'll talk about on 15th anniversary of those, there were dark days. And I would say to Robert, we wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for you. Meaning we wouldn't have a studio if it wasn't for him.
That's true.
Or you. Tell me your memories of where that idea came from, because there were some other people.
So everybody sort of knew who he was. And I remember sitting down with the guy and I was like, geez, he just got it in it. He's got that spark in him and his eye and he's ready. And that's when we were in your office and we were pointing to his headshot and saying, we got to try to figure this out.
The way they talk about it, he was going up for Doctor Doom during the original Fantastic Four movie, and that would have been around 2003, 2004 when they were casting that role. When he was in the middle of making Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Shane Black, who they would later hire to direct Iron Man 3. And originally, there was an earlier version of that first Iron Man movie that they tried to make with Tom Cruise as Iron Man Tony Stark, which is why there were all those Doctor Strange 2 Iron Man Tom Cruise rumors, like, oh, he's coming back around, like they were paying off this Easter egg that didn't wind up working out, when they originally thought to make him a version of Iron Man in the MCU. The other funny thing about that original Fantastic Four movie is that Mads Mikkelsen auditioned for Reed Richards but lost out to Jon Gruffud. Think about all the really dark characters that he's played since then, like he'd be perfect Doctor Doom. Let me know what you think about the idea of Robert Downey Jr. playing a version of Doctor Doom. I feel like he could pull it off just because he's a fantastic actor, but his version of Doctor Doom would probably be a little more unhinged. Like he's got that crazy energy about him that's in the Tony Stark character, especially early on before he matures a little bit over the course of the Infinity Saga. Right now we have Spider-Verse coming out. It's a big multiverse movie. We have a multiverse saga happening right now. Maybe someday we'll see multiverse versions of Doctor Doom played by Mads Mikkelsen and Robert Downey Jr. Speaking of which, I'm giving away Spider-Verse tickets to just random people in the comments of this video. And thank you to Private Internet Access VPN for sponsoring this week's giveaway. A VPN is a tool that hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. It also allows you to change your online geolocation. Normally on my Marvel or DC videos, I do giveaways for Disney Plus or HBO Max subscriptions or Netflix subscriptions, but some of you probably live in countries that don't have access to those streaming services, or episodes get locked in something we like to call Netflix jail where they're only available in certain countries. But with Private Internet Access VPN, you can actually change the location you access content online from. So even if you live outside the United States or North America, just download Private Internet Access, connect to a US or UK server, and you'll get anything that they're blocking in your country. They even gave it a huge shout out during Spider-Man Far From Home.
By the way, travel tip, you should probably download a VPN on your phone just so that the government can't track you while we're abroad.
Smart.
She's not wrong. You can also use a VPN to stop anyone from snooping on your browsing history. That was even a major plot point during the Hawkeye series. And right now, they're giving away the service at an 83% discount. All you have to do is use my link in the description. I'll put it on screen here too. And you get an extra 4 months for free. They do have a 30-day refund policy too if you decide it's not for you. That works out to about $2.03 a month to protect an unlimited amount of devices that you own. And there's no limit on the number of people who can get the deal, so everyone watching the video can claim it, so be sure to check it out. They're in the middle of casting the new versions of the Fantastic Four MCU actors right now. We just saw John Krasinski in Doctor Strange 2 as the 838 universe version of the character, so we've already started to see Fantastic Four stuff in the background of the MCU. Reportedly, we're not supposed to see the MCU version of Doctor Doom, though, for a couple more years at least. Like, there might be some references to him during this new Fantastic Four movie, but he's not supposed to be a big character during that. Reportedly, they're going to use Galactus as a big villain.
The scale is again in balance. All is as it was.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
It is known by many names. My people called it Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds.
And it'll actually be Terrax that will be his herald, not Silver Surfer, so it'll also be a little bit longer before we actually see Silver Surfer in the MCU. There've been a couple deleted scenes and Easter eggs for Doctor Doom in the newer Marvel movies, though. Probably the biggest one was during Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness because the director Sam Raimi, the writer, specifically talked about the Doctor Doom character when they were writing parts of the movie.
The detail of the teleportation device he uses to get into the scene is something we took from the comics. That's Doctor Doom's time door.
What they're talking about is actually right out of the comics. The whole idea is that Kang basically finds Doctor Doom's museum in an old Doombot and takes his technology to create his first time travel device, taking it back in time to ancient Egypt to become the Rama-Tut version of Kang, which we saw recently during Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That's meant to be him at the beginning of his timeline. Eventually, the Fantastic Four found out what he was doing because it was happening in a Fantastic Four comic book, one of the earliest ones. They go back, stop him, and he escapes to the future to become Kang the Conqueror, like he changes his name to Kang, then keeps coming back to fight the Avengers through different parts of the timeline.
You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before? They all blur together after a while. You're not the one with the hammer.
It's Thor.
So in the 838 universe, there is a version of Doctor Doom that's active in this universe. They just didn't cast an actor to play him in the movie. One of the Kangs in the background here during Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania post-credit scene is also the Doctor Doom version of Kang. So there are actually two different versions of Doctor Doom Kang. One is Doctor Doom becoming a version of Kang, and the other is Kang pretending to be Doctor Doom. This is just meant to be a version of Kang in an alternate universe that's pretending to be Doctor Doom, which is why his armor looks like Doctor Doom's armor. The version of Doctor Doom that becomes a version of Kang is called Doom the Annihilating Conqueror. That's more like Doom taking the powers of Kang. During Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which takes place in the MCU, a big plot point is the other nations of the world searching for vibranium. At the beginning of the movie, originally, Lake Bell's character was supposed to be a version of Lucia von Barda, who's one of Doctor Doom's underlings from Latveria. And she was going to secretly be working for him to find that underwater vibranium. So Doctor Doom is looking for vibranium in the MCU. Also, during the Moon Knight series, when he winds up in that foreign country, in the background, there is a castle that looks just like the castles of Latveria. And the writers also specifically said that was meant to be an Easter egg, like, yeah, he's probably in a version of Latveria when he's waking up here. You can let me know who you want to play that new MCU version of Doctor Doom, but there are also lots of Easter eggs for Robert Downey Jr. showing up in future Marvel movies as other characters or other versions of characters too. Deleted scenes from previous movies and Easter eggs. There was a deleted scene from Avengers Infinity War where he briefly becomes Sorcerer Supreme, rescuing Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange also becomes the Iron Mage wearing his Iron Man armor. There are also newer rumors about Robert Downey Jr. now coming back as a version of that superior Iron Man of the 838 universe that they didn't wind up casting an actor for in Doctor Strange 2, trying to get revenge for Scarlet Witch killing the Illuminati. Maybe we'll see a version of that during Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty or like some small Easter egg, because there are rumors that part of Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 will borrow from the plot of Avengers Forever, which involves a version of Kang using an evil Avengers team from another universe to fight the good Avengers. So during Kang Dynasty, we could see some of these actors come back as the Avengers, but as alternate universe versions that are evil fighting the new Avengers. There are a lot of other cool details that Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau talk about with Robert Downey Jr., just the history of the MCU. A big part of his process when they were making the first Iron Man movie, Robert Downey Jr.'s, was rewriting the script every day with the director and the other creatives just to make whatever they were shooting the next day even better. And one of the big tipping points that they credit is the original Comic-Con event in 2007 where they showed off the first trailer. But also before that, Kevin Feige actually did a Comic-Con panel where he specifically called out that they were making the Avengers like, oh, we're making a Captain America movie, we're doing a Thor movie, we're doing an Incredible Hulk movie, and they're all going to meet up and cross over in the Avengers. So even before the first Iron Man movie was released, the MCU had already started to take shape, and the whole MCU of it all was one of the reasons why fans were even more hyped, especially long-term comic book fans. Like, oh, they're all connected. All these things are going to cross over, and we're going to build up to something even bigger. The whole grand design of it, which was Thanos, the Infinity Gauntlet, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. And now I'm actually kind of glad that Robert Downey Jr. wasn't that original Doctor Doom in the original Fantastic Four movies, because even though they have their moments, like there are a couple good moments in there, generally those original Fantastic Four movies aren't that great. And even Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau now talk about Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Iron Man being one of the greatest things to ever happen in the history of Hollywood, like one of the most fantastic pairings of an actor and a character. You almost can't imagine him playing any other characters. The other funny thing, too, is when they start talking about Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, they said that behind the scenes, they think of him as Gandalf, or at the time, they thought of him as Gandalf, a character that just shows up out of nowhere when you need him and helps you, and then disappears.
You then described him as we were going forward as Gandalf.
Yeah,
that he would appear
Yes,
when
that's it.
needed with
Yes.
answers, and I always thought that was a very smart idea for Fury.
And as
You
Edgar
might know
Wright
who that is.
suggested, all the way at the end of the credits.
very end.
Remember when we showed it to him at Skywalker?
forgotten.
It was just after the first few credits.
Yes.
He's like, nah, you gotta
The
push
whole
it
end.
all the
Yeah,
way.
Ferris Bueller style. Yes.
There's also a funny connection to the Deadpool movies, too. Like, we're making Deadpool 3 right now. They literally just started filming it. Kevin Feige refers to that original Iron Man post-credits scene as pulling a Ferris Bueller, putting it at the very end of the credits. And during the first Deadpool movie, they specifically parodied the Ferris Bueller post-credit scene, but in a much more literal way. In related Fantastic Four news, we will hear confirmations about who some of the major characters are really soon. We probably won't find out who's going to play that new Doctor Doom for a couple more years, though. Speaking of Nick Fury, click here for my brand new Secret Invasion trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for my brand new Captain America 4 first look breakdown and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.